Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Community Board 11 Economic Development and Culture Committee. This is our September meeting. Today is September 19, 2023. And my name is Giselle Malave. I'm the chair of the committee. This meeting is called to order at 6:42. Thank you. Tonight, we are joined by Angel Muscane, our staff liaison. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. The chat should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record when recognized. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on the topic of discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. We will now take attendance by roll call.
Committee members, when I call your name, please answer. Present. April Autry.
Present.
Mark Vigurski is excused. Brandon Gillespie. Sharon Lynch.
Present.
Giselle Malave.
Present.
Alicia Miranda.
Present.
Jessica Morris is excused. Eugene Rodriguez.
Here.
Finney Torres. Jenny Tromsky. Anne-Marie Vasquez.
Present.
Jason Wu.
Present.
We have quorum.
The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Committee members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand to be recognized. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. Our minutes for the missing ones that we have are being updated. Please be patient. We will have minutes to approve by next month. Thank you. Okay, announcement. Oh, the minutes of tonight's meeting are being taken by me, Giselle Malave. Announcements. So, our first announcement is that NYC Economic Development Corporation has released a request for proposals seeking a team to complete education and engagement services regarding the history and cultural impact of Harlem African Burial Ground. The RFP application deadline is October 4th, 2023. Second announcement is the City of New York has launched a new and modern job application site. This new site brings improved searchability for posted jobs and a streamlined recruitment process. Users can expect an easier application process, a dedicated recruitment event section with new employment opportunities and hiring events happening throughout the city, and a modernized website layout offering access to apply for civil service exams, internships, and more. Our final announcement, the reopening of the New York Ford Loan Fund 2 that was launched this month. Through the program, eligible candidates with fewer than 100 employees and less than 5 million in gross annual revenue can apply for loans up to 150,000. Okay, we will now hear our informational updates. Uptown Grand Central. Hi, Carrie.
Hello. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, good. So thank you so much for having me. It's good to have you as chair, Giselle. So good to see you guys. I'm at home. We've got a 6-year-old eating dinner, so thanks for letting me join you from Zoom. So just some brief updates. Over the summer, we had a few events. You guys know a lot about the events that we do, so I'll just go through those briefly and then some behind the scenes stuff. So open streets at both La Marqueta and at 101st Street wrapped up Labor Day. We ended those a little bit earlier this year than in past summers. I think with COVID kind of passing, open streets are shifting a little bit in focus. So we wrapped those up a little bit earlier than usual, but we'll be back for open streets trick or treat in October and also to do some community art at 101st Street. We held some beauty crawls in partnership with Harlem Fashion Week, and it has me wishing I put on more makeup tonight. These were to highlight beauty businesses in the neighborhood. So we did 3 crawls to salons and studios that a lot of people don't notice because they're not as advertised as much as you know some of our other businesses are. So we took 3 crawls and walked from business to business and got samples of eyebrows and hair and makeup. And then our small business owners were invited to Harlem Fashion Week, which was super fun. And it's something we hope to build on year after year because the models need beauty services and the beauty services need to advertise themselves. So that was a great partnership. We also held silent disco with the National Black Theater at 125th Street and Park Avenue. You guys know that is a continual work in progress, 125th and Park. And we found that having silent disco headphones blocks the noise and makes you able to have a good event there. So we'll keep working on that space, and silent disco is one good way to do it. Upcoming, the next big festival is Party on Park. Lots of you are participating. I see Anne Marie, Barikin's going to be there. Community 11 is going to be there. Lots of different organizations. And because the Park Avenue Viaduct replacement project has made the Park Avenue Viaduct stretch a little bit tighter than usual because of all of the construction barrels, and they've taken away some of the lanes of Park Avenue. We got permission from NYPD to extend to 111th Street. And that also has an economic goal because the Urban Garden Center, because of the project, is being relocated from 116th Street. By the 1st of October, will be in its new location, which is 111th Street. So we're hoping that by having the event run all the way to 111th Street, that will create some awareness in people's minds that Urban Garden Center is not closing, it's just simply relocated. You might have seen the new greenhouses. The MTA, as part of the agreement, was required to build them new greenhouses. So there's some nice sparkly, shiny greenhouses at 111th Street. So Party on Park is Sunday, October 1st from 12 to 4. We hope you come out. There's going to be activities at every intersection along the Park Avenue Viaduct from 125th to 111th. So come out and be a part of it. Wear your Community Board 11 t-shirt. And then also event-wise, I mentioned, we're going to be doing Open Streets Trick or Treat. That's at the very end of October. And we're also working with some of the Mexican-owned businesses to do Day of the Dead. That's still a work in progress. El Museo is going to be doing an event as well. They might talk about that in a little bit. So there's a lot going on the events calendar. And then also behind the scenes wise, and Giselle, I think I'm talking about this later, so I cannot talk about it now. But we've been working on development of a business improvement district for East 125th, which will be the first in East Harlem, and also help to develop some sustainable resources for caretaking, sanitation, placemaking, marketing along East 125th. And then also, if you want me to mention it, I can or don't have to, the East Harlem Downtown Revitalization Initiative is that the project to bring $10 million to East Harlem through the Department of State. And we applied for it, but we're not in charge of it. We're not the sponsor of it. But I can give an update in that 30 projects were submitted, and they're all pretty cool. Either improving community spaces in privately held buildings or improving public spaces along the major commercial corridors, a lot of art, a lot of cool stuff. So they're the consultants that are working on the project are working on figuring out project feasibility, and that process is going to continue through November. So stay tuned. There's going to be more public workshops, but it's really exciting to hear the things that the community wants and that we might be able to get funded. So that's my update for now, and I think I'm talking a little bit later too.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you so much for the update. Are there any questions? I'm recognizing Eugene.
Thank you, Chairman. Carrie, what are the boundaries of that $10 million grant?
The boundaries were originally set based on transit. So originally it was, so you think about Downtown Revitalization Initiative, it's very different upstate than it is downstate, because in little towns in upstate, there's a downtown. It's like generally one commercial corridor. And New York kind of throws off all that calculation as to what is considered a downtown. So originally when we first applied, it was East 125th Street, and then it kind of got expanded a little bit to include all the transit along Park Avenue. If you think about it, it goes to 111th Street, and that's where there's still spaces underneath the Metro North where you can have community interaction. After that, there's no large spaces. So it's East Harlem, so 5th Avenue East, and then it goes down to 111th. And that's because because it was around transit, Park Avenue, the Metro North train, and the 456 train, and then also the two major commercial corridors, so 116th and 125th.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much, Carrie. We'll hear from you a little later.
You have a hand in the attendees.
Hold on, there's a hand in the attendees.
Marina Ortiz.
I'm recognizing Maria Ortiz.
Marina, thank you. Hi, Carrie. I have a question about the project, or that sort of funding for transportation, for art and stuff near transportation. What can we expect from the Second Avenue subway project, given that it's percent for art? I mean, there's all kinds of things. Are you involved in any of that, or where can we get more information?
I wish I could tell you, Marina. I don't know. I don't actually know. I mean, I know that they have said that there will be art as part of the project, but that's as much as I got right now. I did hear, separate from the Second Avenue subway, the Park Avenue viaduct replacement. And also I'm just reporting what I know, but I don't actually have any ownership or control over it. Is they're going to be there in the final stages of choosing a local artist to do an installation above 116th Street, kind of how at 125th there's the blue with the metal sculpture. It's called Harlem Encore. So there's going to be something at 116th that's kind of like the community give back from the Park Avenue viaduct. I don't know how. They won't tell me any more than that. That's all I got.
Okay.
But hopefully.
Thank you. And
Maria, can you say your email, please, out loud so that we can send, add you to our email list and send you any updates?
sure, no, I am on your email list.
Okay.
I do
Thank
get you.
you.
But just before in closing, I just want to ask, why is the chat removed?
I'm not sure.
The chat was removed by the executive committee at a vote in their June meeting because the chat was disrupting the flow of meetings.
Okay, but that's the only way that we can interact with other folks who are not on screen and not given a microphone. That's, all right, never mind. I'll get back to you on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. I'm recognizing Eugene Zan.
Thank you. Marina, you should know that the $10 million grant is for infrastructure projects.
Okay, thank you.
And we have a hand raised by Michelle Cruz.
Thank you, Giselle. Hi, Marina. We actually sent out an email about a future meeting we're having about Second Avenue subway.
Oh,
I believe you're on that list, so maybe check your junk mail if you haven't received it. We're gonna have someone come and talk to the business about what's gonna happen, what's going on now, what the status is, and any updates.
okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for that, Michelle. Thank you. I do not see any more hands. Okay. Thank you again, Carrie. Our next informational updates will be from El Museo del Barrio. We'll hear from Union Settlement in our October meeting. Hi, Chelsea.
Hi, good to see everybody. My name is Chelsea Peyor. I'm the Government and Community Affairs Manager at El Museo del Barrio. Just want to share some updates with you all on, I guess, a brief update on what we've been doing over the summer and then some things that we have coming up soon. Lots of exciting community events that happened over the summer, and Museo had a chance to be part of a few of them, including the East Harlem Youth Fair hosted by Councilmember Diana Ayala, as well as the East Harlem Community Partnership Back to School Summer Jam. And Museo was also there meeting families and getting to know a lot of, surprisingly, getting to know a lot of newer East Harlem residents who attended this specific event. So it was exciting just to let them know who we were and what type of programming that we offer for the community. We were also present at the Department of Transportation Summer Streets this past August. We had an art making station at their 109th Street rest stop. We also had a very successful Uptown Bounce event in collaboration with the Museum of the City of New York. That was in July and August. And we were delighted to have Union Settlement also join us for one of those weeks. It was a super successful event. It was a lot of fun. And we also welcomed the People's Bus as part of this, the Civic Engagement Commission. They were also there and encouraging specifically East Harlem residents to vote on the People's Money, which was a citywide a participatory budgeting initiative that happened this past summer. Moving on to our exhibitions, some of you may or may not know, we actually had our galleries partially closed throughout August and part of September due to some building maintenance issues that came up, but I'm happy to share that our galleries are now fully open again as of last week. We still have our permanent collection exhibition on view. That'll be on view up until next March 2024. But we do have a second, the exhibition is being shown in 2 rotations. So the second rotation of the exhibition will be premiering in mid-November. So if you haven't had a chance to visit in this first rotation, I highly recommend it before we make the turnover and have new pieces as part of the exhibition in November. And then a quick overview on what we have coming up as far as our programs. Tomorrow, we actually are hosting a book launch event with Esmeralda Santiago, renowned Puerto Rican author. That's happening at 6:30 p.m. in our theater, and that's in collaboration with Word Up Bookstore. There are still tickets available if anybody wants to come out, and it will also be, so it will be a book launch event where there'll be a reading from Esmeralda, as well as a talk back sort of Q&A conversation with another author, Elizabeth Velasquez. And there will also be a book signing at the end of the event. We also have a few of our recurring programs that are happening. Coqui Club, which is for our youngest museo visitors, our bilingual storytelling session that happens once a month. That's still happening. That's the first Saturday of every month. So if anybody has children 5 and under that want to participate, the next one that's coming up is Saturday, October 7th at 10 a.m. And then we have our free guided gallery tours that are every single weekend. That's Saturdays and Sundays at 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. That's every weekend, open to the public. And as Carrie briefly mentioned, we do have the Dia de los Muertos celebration coming up at La Placita, part of La Marqueta. That will be on Saturday, October 28th. So you can all save the date for that event. We're still finalizing actual programming info for that, but definitely more to come soon. And I'll share more information with the community board once I get some from our programming team. And we're also going to be participating in Party on Park. We're really excited for the Uptown Grand Central event. We'll have some of our museum educators there leading some art making workshops. So super excited to be out on Park Avenue on October 1st. And then further ahead in the future, 3 Kings Day, of course, is coming up in a few months. We're looking at Friday, January 5th, since 3 Kings Day lands on a Saturday this year. And part of the celebration, it's a significant part of the celebration is engaging with our schools. So we want to make sure that we always have it on a weekday where the schools can come out and be part of it. So that's why we're looking at Friday, January 5th for the parade date. More details to come on that, but also just want to highlight, if anyone, if you have a community group or community organization and you're interested in marching as a cohort in the parade, feel free to reach out to me via email. I'd love to just start compiling a list of some of our community groups that want to march with their cohort now, so that when the time comes, when the date comes closer, I can share some participant information so that you're all signed up. I know I had some folks reach out after after the parade earlier this year, not really knowing how they could participate as far as marching as a group. So definitely want to put that out there and get as many folks as possible marching in the parade. And I think those are all my updates. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you so much, Chelsea, for those updates. Are there any questions? I recognize Eugene.
I'm sorry to be a pain in the butt. Chelsea, are
Mhm.
you doing anything else in the theater to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month besides the book signing?
Besides the book signing, we don't have anything in the theater this month. We did have a performance in the theater this past Saturday. We had our Super Sábado celebration, and we had a Taino indigenous group that performed in the theater, doing some ceremonial performance. And we also had Afro-Latin Jazz Alliance that did a performance in the theater as well on Saturday. But besides that, we don't have anything else specifically for Hispanic Heritage Month.
I recognize Anne Marie.
Hi, Chelsea. How do we get in contact with you to watch in the parade?
Well, since we don't have the chat, I can just say my email out loud for you to write down. It's Pellot, so that's my name, first initial, last name Peyot, at elmuseo.org. You can reach out to me so that I can begin, just have your contact information, and then when the date comes closer, I'll share some more information with you.
So I don't see any other hands. Thank you, Chelsea. Okay, our next informational update is CCCADI, Caribbean Cultural Center African Diaspora Institute. Hello,
I don't see anyone on.
okay. Up next is El Barrio's Art Space.
Same, I don't see it.
Okay. We'll move on, but if they hop on later on during the meeting, we'll give them their 3 minutes for their informational updates. Okay, we have now entered our presentation and discussion portion of our meeting. Angel, could you bring the
Mission.
So the first presentation is from me. It's an introduction to economic development and culture committee mission, so that for the new members, the old members, we just kind of touch up again and understand why we're here and, you know, what we're here to do. Next slide. Okay. So what aspects should our community should we focus on? Should this committee focus on? So job creation, supporting employment opportunities for local residents, and connecting with local organizations doing this work already. So for example, we've had presentations from Strive. I know that Anne Marie also connects with local organizations that, you know, offer jobs for local residents. Try to reach out to them, you know, let's try to bring them to the table to let them know and have a conversation of how we can better support them. Business support, which we already get a lot of, but we can always, you know, engage more and help with marketing support, guidance on regulations and permits. If there's someone that's not clear on, you know, a liquor license procedure, you know, just taking them through the right channels. And we are already collaborating with a lot of local CBOs and city agencies, but just keeping ourselves informed on like the newest regulations that come out. Infrastructure improvement, prioritizing infrastructure projects that promote economic growth, such as improving transportation networks, investing in community facilities like parks, recreational centers. So this is a chance for us to cross collaborate with other committees. For example, parks, land use, making sure that when people come to present, these big developers come to present us, you know, these beautiful housing buildings and all of these construction sites that have so much for our community, but at the same time, also making sure that they incorporate some type of opportunity for, you know, a business to come in and rent, the floor, the second floors, and just make it more, accessible for people. Tourism and cultural promotion, to promote our community's unique cultural heritage, arts and tourism attractions. Eugene has a great idea and that he's been, pushing for some time now since he came on board again. And that's the naming and value as a cultural district. I think that's a great idea. We will have a discussion later on in old business. Community engagement, actively engaging with your residents, businesses, and other stakeholders in the community to gather feedback, understand their needs, and address any concerns. This includes, hosting town halls, surveys. Overall, we should aim to help. Is it a way, Angel, for us to bring it down? Or
No, I was trying to look.
Right?
I'll read it when you get to the next.
Okay. Overall, we should aim to help create a thriving, vibrant community by fostering economic.
Growth, preserving cultural identity, and improving quality of life for residents.
Okay. And if you guys have any questions or if you want to discuss anything or talk about any ideas that you have, we can do that now, or we can, just kind of send out an email every other week, touching base and saying like, hey, I visited this business and, they look like they need help with this. How can we help them? And we can do that. And
So I know, me and you, we met during the summer and we talked about that, about how can we go out into the community and visit the businesses, whether it's restaurants, the dance studio, the neighborhood, retail, and see, like she said, what they need, how can we help you market your business, how can we help you grow in the community, and also that the residents in the community, and even outside East Harlem, that this is here. So that's the plan that we talked about for this committee. Be more involved with the businesses in this community.
Good question. What would that look like? Would that look like doing a tour, like organizing a tour where we can maybe eat together at different restaurants, or like do a dance class together, or a way for us to bond and get to know one another, but also support and learn about the businesses in our own neighborhood?
I like that.
Yeah, that's what we
So it's kind of like maybe, and it could be an hour on a Saturday, because I know everyone, has agendas, but it could be like an hour on a Saturday. You don't have to necessarily stay the whole hour, but just showing up for your community it goes a long way. And also, I've learned that also like these social medias, they help like the Yelps. And if you visit a business and you happen to enjoy something about it, Yelp them, give them a good review, somehow just involve yourself with like coping.
And a lot of these businesses, they come to the community board to get their license. So if they don't come to us unless they're gonna present what they have, how about we come out there and help them and show them we are involved, we are here to help you as well. Not just to get the license, but to get business.
Okay.
Sitting here on this committee, you hear about a lot of events that are going on in the community. And I urge you to attend a lot of them, because that's where you can really get, like I go to the dance thing, that's where you can get your hands on it. Like every Friday at the PS 109, they have mambo classes and stuff like that. They always have art exhibits in PS 109. They have them all over the place. So I suggest urge you to attend all of them, because then you know who needs what.
I think sometimes that can be a little intimidating when you don't know anybody. So that's why I think it would be fun to like organize or like try to build relationship capacity within the committee, right? Because I could go, but then I wouldn't know anybody and I might feel a little awkward, right? But if I go with you, then I know you, and then together we can meet other people in our own neighborhood. So I think
You got the right connection.
yeah.
One of us will be in there.
Okay, so I like that. I like all of these ideas. Hopefully this year we can foster them. Okay, so, oh, go ahead, Jason.
So I'm new on this committee. What do you, and this is for anyone who's been on this committee longer, what do you see as some of the past successes of this committee or the work from this committee that you feel is like kind of exemplary of what you want to see more of?
I think that, there's work to be done. I've been on the board for 2 years. And it's about growth. It's about getting better. I think that we've gotten a lot better in our district leads and being a little bit more, specific as to what it is. I've seen a lot of faces that, attending, like Eugene said, attending the open streets, attending all of these communities. I've seen a lot of people from economic development and the board, so I think that that's been a success.
Do we have a directory of businesses? Is that publicized?
We do, we can get that also from Michelle, Carrie. I mean, there's a lot of community-based organizations that are doing a lot of work and
Yeah, because I know Union Settlement has done one, but not everyone is connected to Union Settlement, right? So perhaps you can combine whatever CBOs have done and make one for our, right? Not all businesses are like our businesses that are free, no, they're not, right? So if people are going to have just, a central place, even though they're not connected to a CBO, let us be the central place. Jean mentioned other activities, let us be able to be that central place for the activities as well.
What, the community board puts out a monthly letter on what's going on in the community is very helpful. But like, what I asked them to say about what they have a lot of difficulty letting everybody in the neighborhood know what they're doing. So one of the ideas I have for the district is to have a promotional arm of it that promotes all the stuff in the community. And I think that's the only way we're gonna be able to do that. And we have a lot of stuff going on that people don't know about. Remember that statistic I gave you is that community residents in East Harlem spent almost $800 million outside of the neighborhood for entertainment. If we just capture 10% of that, that's 80. So, I mean, and one of the reasons is we're not able to let everybody know what's going on.
So just on like the publicizing of businesses, like, I know there are guidelines on what we typically use our social media for, but maybe there's a way that we can use the CB11, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook to help like amplify businesses as well. I mean, we could even make our own content, like if we do a tour of different businesses at CB11, we can record it and then do a little, TikTok, whatever, like we can do our own content.
It's funny because we talked about that too. I work with a population of older people. And not everybody is social media. Not everybody is, not everybody is computer, right? Yes, we want them up to speed. But we're missing out on a full calculation of people that could benefit from some of this socialization and business. So senior centers may need flyers that, I install into a landline telephone. And I might be the only one, but I also believe in paper, right? Right, so I think we're missing out on a population who need it, but don't use this and really won't use this. This is intimidating. We also have scams, and so they're fearful. Sometimes the old ways work, and that's the only thing I want to look at, right?
So making sure that we use the new technology, but also take, remember the people who are too savvy.
The things that work, right? Because flyers used to work, Post-its used to work, right? And I think that a lot of it is we use our phones, but not everybody does. Not everybody still is on this device.
I don't have.
Okay. So in the interest of,
Sorry, just one thing
Sure.
super quick, just to answer Jason's question, because this is my second tour on this committee. And I think one opportunity we have is really for collaboration with other committees, because we've had a lot of people present, business owners, who there was a thing going around the neighborhood, you might have seen it, there were a couple coffee shops, restaurants about having more cameras. And so looking at how public safety is involved in that, but I think, yes, it's economic development, but it also goes with human services and what's happening. And we've had business owners who are like, I want to expand, I want to have another restaurant, I want to hire from the neighborhood. And there's a lot of drug use. And so how to balance those types of things, because I just think there's a lot of overlap and crossover because people and life. And so looking at how we collaborate with other committees too.
So we'll start a little email chain, just to make sure that these ideas get put into an email and we can keep them going, okay? So for the interest of time, we actually, to start off, this helping out of, and going, taking a step further, I wanted to highlight two businesses, in East Harlem. They're here tonight. Harissa Honey, which was, owner of Barsha. They opened up 4 months before the pandemic. So unfortunately, through some tough times, they had to close, but out of that idea came, the Harissa Honey, and they are now, selling their sauce in like Walmart. That's crazy. So I wanted to present, I wanted to highlight a couple of businesses every month, just so that they can come on here, tell us how we can order, how we can support, how we can help, let the community know that they are here. Harissa Honey, and you can, I guess, Barsha, yeah, Barcha. So if Walid can go first. Hi, Walid.
Yes. Hey, Giselle, thank you for the intro. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Can you see me?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry to interrupt. Can you expand that so we can see people's faces? I don't know how to do it either, but okay. Sorry, that's it. Yeah, we can see you now.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present our small business, Harissa Honey. Like Giselle mentioned, my wife and I, Glory Bell, we used to own Barsha in East Harlem. Where during COVID, we committed to feed our food insecure neighbors. Unfortunately, we closed our restaurant last year, and then from there we transitioned to our new product, Harissa Honey. So what Harissa Honey is, basically we source local honey and we infused with the fiery spice of harissa. Currently, we are in select stores in New York City, and then as of last month, we are in Walmart.com, so you can find us there. And if you do buy us there, please leave a review. Will help us quite a bit. We're so excited about it. And we're also trying to basically, for our community board members, the help would be basically if you can connect us with anchor institutions like Target, Costco, Whole Foods, so we can also be on the shelves in those big ticket names. Basically, I will help us quite a bit. And finally, if we can also connect with the local cultural institutions like Museo del Barrio, maybe you can collaborate together. We see them here in the meeting today, and similar institutions there where we can show products and cooperate with them as well. And
Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. Just got home.
she's just rushing on.
Oh, the boss is there.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much. We are definitely taking notes. You said Target, Costco. What was the
Whole
other
Foods.
store you mentioned?
Whole Foods.
Whole Foods on 125th Street. Okay.
If
Are there, go ahead.
No, can you say real quick?
Yeah.
Can you imagine doing your weekend grocery shopping? You know, an opportunity also to get away from your family, just saying. And you're walking down the shelves and you see an East Harlem founded like brand on the shelves. Like that would be amazing. And so anyway, I just
and Latina owned also.
And Latina owned, Afro Latina, the whole shebang. The harissa may come from his country, but you know, I really bring the spice. So
And you can put this on anything, guys, not just food, but like I heard, like it can go on like ice cream, desserts. I was like, wow, this should be on everybody's shelf. So thank you.
From chicken wings to cheese. If y'all do cheese plate, like a charcuterie board, So
Make it a
the
number.
great for date
Yeah.
night, but yeah, it's great for date night, but don't put it on your date. That's not what it's for. Okay,
Oh,
it's for food.
It's gonna burn.
Thank you,
She
thank you
talk, I don't
again.
wanna
Any
go out.
questions for Walid and Floribel?
Where do you source the honey from? Just out of curiosity.
Yes, 25 miles away in New Jersey, we work with a local beekeeper, and we use his honey, and basically we give him our recipe, and he produces for us in his
There's
facility.
a hive in my book.
That's great.
Okay, let me see if there are any questions in the chat. I don't see any, okay. Thank you so much, guys, for coming and presenting. We will definitely keep in touch with you guys, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Our next business, in East Harlem, they are in La Marqueta. It's, Angel, do you see Cotazo, Francis?
I do not.
All right, so, I will, hopefully she'll come and present in October, but her food is amazing. I went and it's just, okay, I see Marina Ortiz.
Yes, thank you. I'm sure where you are in the agenda, but maybe I missed something. Is there going to be a presentation or update on the Harlem African Burial Ground tonight or no?
Jonathan John.
No, it's not in this agenda.
It was amazing.
It's not in this month's agenda.
Oh,
Okay, I thought it was listed as such on the website. Well, anyway, thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Marina.
What
was
there
an
was,
announcement you made.
yeah, there was an announcement regarding that, but not in the presentation.
All the announcements.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Marina? I think she left. Okay. So being that, our second business owner is not here, we'll move on to the 125th Street bid formation outreach, and Carrie Kane will be the one to present.
Hello, are you guys ready for me?
Yes, we are ready to start.
Okay, I'm gonna go to another room, so give me 1 second. So we can maximize quiet. Thank you guys so much for the warm welcome. Okay, apologies for the delay. I just didn't want Thomas the train in the background. Giselle, depending on how much time we have, I can show a few visuals or not. But I just want to be able to give you guys the update about where we stand with the 125th Street bid planning. So just as some background, the concept of a bid, which stands for Business Improvement District, is new to some people. So I'm just going to kind of break down the concept a little bit. What a business improvement district is, and East Harlem is the only community district in Manhattan to not have one. A business improvement district is a defined section of a neighborhood where the property owners agree to pay a higher amount in taxes. That amount becomes the budget for things like street cleaning. Some bids, but not a lot of bids, do public safety. When you see holiday lights, when you see flowers, when you see all the things that makes you want to come and shop in an area, oftentimes you're standing in a business improvement district, because that means that the property owners have gotten together and agreed to pay this extra amount. In East Harlem, both Uptown Grand Central and Union Settlement have kind of been trying to fill that void. So both of our organizations fundraise and pay for street cleaning out of other funds. But we started about a year and a half ago looking at creating a business improvement district for East 125th Street with the eye of capturing some of the new development coming in, welcoming the new property owners into the community by asking them through the mechanism of a business improvement district to support street cleaning, public art, greening, all of the things that you want to see along East 125th Street. So a year and a half in, the process is monitored / guided by the Department of Small Business Services. SBS oversees about 76 bids across the city. They're all listed on their website. And so SBS guides the process. So they've been with us along the way. And we have a steering committee that is made up of property owners along East 125th Street, small business owners along East 125th Street, a few nonprofits, a few residents. Our co-chairs are Melody Capote from the Caribbean Cultural Center and Jordan Barowitz, who represents the Durst organization. They're a great team, and Uptown Grand Central has kind of been shepherding the effort along the way since we know East 125th Street so well. So where we are in the process is we've determined there's certain key things you have to determine. You have to determine your boundaries, which I can show you if I can share my screen if you want me to. We have determined the boundaries. You have to determine the services, and that is kind of a no-brainer along East 125th Street. Everybody wants that street to just, please, Jesus, be clean. So that's always like the first thing everybody wants to see along East 125th Street. So a large portion of the budget goes towards street cleaning. So boundaries, services, budget. The budget is informed by the services that you need to provide. And then assessment formula. And assessment formula is a little tricky, and it's a little, unless you have a math brain, it's a little much to get into. But essentially, assessment formula is the group figures out how do they want the assessment to be structured. So there's lots of different ways you can calculate the assessment formula. One of the most clear methods is by you have to use information that is publicly available in the Department of Finance. So things that the city can just pull that tax record and say, okay, we're doing this times this, and this is your bill. So you can't pick something out of the blue that the city doesn't already measure. So generally, frontage is a good measure. Frontage is the amount of your property that faces a sidewalk, because that's what we're going to be cleaning. So frontage is a good measure. Another measure that a lot of bids use is assessed value. So how much is the building worth, or the property worth? And then you take a percentage of that. Another method is square footage. There's different things you can do, and you can do 80% of this, 20% of that, da, 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 da. We had a consultant who is much more math savvy than me, as well as the Department of Small Business Services, working on it. And where the committee has ended up at this point is an assessment formula that has never been done before in the city of New York. It's 80% frontage, which is that method of just like, how much sidewalk do you have? How much do we have to clean? And then 20% instead of assessed value, which is often not exactly correct on, I guess it's correct, but it's not necessarily the best measure of a property on tax records. So we found another measure called taxable value. And if you have a building that it's never been used before in a formula, so this is taking special approval. But essentially it means if you have an affordable housing building, depending on what covenant your building was built under, because there's a million different affordable programs, but several of our buildings along East 125th Street are built under programs that give them a 0 taxable value. So anything times 0 is 0. So for that percentage of the formula, the affordable percentage part, they're not paying a large amount. They're still paying for the frontage, because we still need help keeping up the sidewalk. But for that affordable part, we try to make it a little bit more affordable for them, because with an affordable building, you have restrictions on how much you can charge people. So they can't necessarily make a lot of profit to pay into the bid, because they are restricted on their covenants. So all that to say, so we have so far got boundaries, we've got the services, the budget, and the assessment formula, and we're working on getting our statement of support agreed upon by Small Business Services, and then we'll be able to launch outreach. So probably within the next 2 weeks, I know this is being recorded, so I don't want to hold myself to anything, but probably within like 2 weeks, we'll start doing outreach. The initial outreach, you have to get 50% of the district to agree. in order for it to continue to move forward. So far, just based on initial outreach, we have 53% of the assessed value of the district. So that's looking positive. We need to get not just assessed value, but we need to just get what's called broad-based support. So just of a lot of community members. So we're hoping to get more than 53%. And then what happens is once we get that, it'll eventually, it kind of becomes kind of like a ULURP. It is a ULURP. So eventually we'll come back to you. And I think procedure wise, and Angel may chime in at some point, we need to go before land use. We'll come to you, of course, because we love you. And then to EcoDev, and then also to land use. And then it goes through the community board will comment. Our elected officials, Deputy Speaker Diana Ayala has a big influence on this process, and then it'll eventually go through City Council. So it takes a while, but what will happen at the end, assuming all goes well, is that then we'll have a baseline budget of $750,000 to use on 125th Street, which, as you know, has been devoid of resources for so long. And that money, as contrasted to a lot of government funds, y'all are familiar with government funds get paid to you way after the fact. Bid monies come in at a regular interval upfront. So instead of always owing people money, we'll be able to pay people upfront for services, with the bedrock of that being street cleaning, as well as marketing, promotion. We're looking to at having a not paying public safety, but having like a public safety coordinator who can help just like aggregate data of where things happening. How can we pull NYPD into this better? How can we pull the district attorney into this better? How can we just be smarter than we are? So we're looking at addressing all the issues as best we can. But it would be really, really great to have a sustained budget. Cause I know that's like in district needs. Community board has always said, please, we need more resources. So, anyway, I'll stop there because I just dumped a lot on you. And Giselle, you said I can share a screen?
Yes, please.
Okay, let me do that.
You gotta mute over there because they'll hear you over there.
Thank you.
So this, let me see if I can blow this up for you guys. This is, oh, it's not blowing up. Can y'all see it though? The green thing? This is the boundaries. So 125th Street is this street here. And then you can see the West 125th Street bid actually comes into East Harlem a little bit. It goes one property in. So the 125th Street bid, that's the National Black Theater. That's in their district. And then they also have this lot here, which is that kind of overgrown lot with trees. So that's in the 125th Street bid, but then we'd start just next to that. This is Harlem Children's Zone. You come down here, this is the Corn Exchange, this is the empty lot, this is the Metro North Station. And then, you know, down here, this is Lexington Avenue, the old Apple Bank, the old DMV building, the empty lot that's Pathmark, 1 East Harlem. All of these lots over here are under development by EDC. Up here's the Proton Center. The Potamkin building is here. The new Artemis building is here. So the Jonathan Rose building is down here, the Tapestry. So we're looking to provide as much coverage as possible and also, you know, build as much resources for the neighborhood as possible.
So considering that you said the West Harlem bid is kind of into our area, is there a way we can share? We can't share that area, right?
Right. Yeah. So like once it's drawn into it's so regulated. Once it's in the it's like it's, you know, it's in the city code. So to get it taken out of that and put into this, I don't even know how that would happen. So I think we'll just be good neighbors and try to keep that corner clean.
First, I want to acknowledge any hands, any questions of the committee? Angel?
Thanks, Giselle. I just wanted to show appreciation for Carrie and the team's work on this. As long as I've been working at CB11, this has been a goal of the community board. Certainly not at my initiative. It was, already a position that the board's been, seeking this to come to fruition for many, many years. And, finally got some traction, lately, due to a lot of people, but since it's my opinion, due a lot to Carrie King. Carrie King is a godsend. And when this thing comes to fruition, when it actually happens, we'll have her and other people, but mostly her to thank. So I don't know what the history of Big Formation on 125th Street was prior to my coming to work here. So, I don't want to, lessen any efforts, prior to that. But since then, it's been kind of a dream or an aspiration. And just to see, it's been 13 years I've been here now. Just to see it actually getting even this far is really gratifying, and looking forward to this continuing on and actually happening for the good of East Harlem, right? Like we I know that I'm speaking to the choir, but that we have such a struggle on our major commercial strips, right? And any effort to try to help support our commercial strips, which every community relies on and depends on, to bring attention to East Harlem. Like Eugene was saying before, we have a lot of stuff, and you have to, in some instances, be in the know. But what we need, like every other neighborhood, is everybody else to know, right? So that they're coming here and enjoying everything that the neighborhood has to offer, which is a ton of really great stuff. It's just that, as an outsider, it's kind of spread around, right? So so having something that ultimately will be a focal point amongst, hopefully a ton of other focal points, I think is a really exciting proposition.
Thank you, Angel.
And let me say back that Angel is a wealth of knowledge. So like half of these properties where I was like, I don't even understand what is the covenant or the structure or the zoning. Angel knows it all.
Yeah, this is amazing, both Angel and Carrie. I have a couple of follow-up questions just for my own information. How many businesses is that, total? Are we the ones that are in yellow, but are adjacent or, so are those for sure off the table? Are we in negotiations with them, or is it just they're non-participant and that's it? I guess I have 4 questions. The third is for the affordable, for the portion of the assessment that is figuring in that 0 number because of affordable credits or what have you. Is there a sense of what the sunset is on those affordable credits and what happens after that sunset? And then the 4th thing is especially just given the area, it occurs to me that data collection is actually super important. I don't know if there is a provision in the bid or if there could be a provision in the bid for it, but I personally, just from my work at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, know a lot of early stage companies that are very invested in doing sort of street level data collection through pretty low cost sensors, things like that. So if that's at all helpful, I'm happy to connect or, just and do with the extra note that I do think that some kind of data collection would be really valuable in addition to the street cleaning, just given the corridor that it is.
Agreed 100%.
Sorry, it's how many businesses, sunset, what's happening with the yellow spaces, and the data is just sort of a note.
Okay, so let me start with the yellow spaces. So we'll cut that part out. So the yellow spaces, a lot of that is residential. So if you guys can still see the screen, for example, oh, can you? Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
So, all of this is residential. This is residential. Brownstones here as well. This is ABC. This is 1775 houses, AK houses. This is a school. So also part of the measurement is you have to think about how much how much space you can cover with the resources available. So if you have a property that is not going to be paying in, the residential properties are not going to be paying in, you're not going to clean that block because they're not supporting it. So same thing with like a lot of government buildings. You have to figure out like, and that's also a thing in East Harlem. Like we have a lot of government buildings. So how much, because these are the private owners that are contributing, how much can you support, right? How much really can you clean? So that's part of it. What we have done also, I should have mentioned in the formula, is come up with secondary corridors. So there's a slight discount if you're not on 125th Street. If you're not on Lexington Avenue, you get a little bit of a discount because most likely, I bet you $1 million right now, most likely our team is going to be at 125th and Lex for the majority of the day. So, that they're not paying as much on the sides. And also, I should have mentioned that for the affordable component, the city is requiring, and this is just basically pocket change. The city is requiring for that placeholder, for that zero amount, that the property owners pay $100 or $250 based on their size, but it doesn't actually end up to be that much money. So the first question is the yellow lots. So in this effort, we're not most likely going to expand the borders, but you do hear of these things called bid expansion efforts, which generally after you get your sea legs and you got it nailed down for the first little bit. Long Island City is doing a bid expansion right now. There's a few communities that are doing bid expansion. So once people see the services, they like them, they want to bring them to other areas. It is possible to do a bid expansion.
Number of businesses, just total number of businesses that it covers.
Yeah, it's more than 100. It depends on if you count the upstairs. We have a lot of like hair braiding upstairs, nails upstairs, offices upstairs. And so that's, it depends on exactly how you count, and also, do you want to count small business or are you counting chain stores? But it's a little bit more than 100 generally, give or take. And some of those businesses are involved. Some of the businesses are not so much. We have a lot of weed stores now. We just got like 2 more on East 125th Street. They're not involved really.
Yep.
Okay, so that was the second question. Not in order.
The third one is the affordability sunset.
Right. So there are two main owners that are being affected by this, by the affordability. One of them, that sunsets in about 30 years. And the other one, I don't actually know when the time runs out for them. But it will take some time. And a lot of those covenants you can renew depending on the program and the current status. So, and then the measurements. So yeah, there's a lot of bids that do like footfall. They have like a footfall counter, how many people have passed through. Up until now, it's been like me in the plaza with like a clicker, just like clicking to see how many people pass through. But it would be cool. It would be cool. I think West 125th Street does have a mechanism for like monitoring, what are the busy times of day, that sort of thing. So any technologies that you're connected to, definitely share, because the more data, the better.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. And Carrie, that's me, Ann. I see that you went up to 128. Are you planning to go down to 122nd? There are organizations, there are businesses, you have Taínos. It's a huge complex. They have businesses as well.
The original committee, this is what they agreed to. But like I said, like if there is interest, there could be a bid expansion at some point. So, if like Beacon owns the property, right?
You own
So
the
like,
property.
right. So as a nonprofit, Beacon wouldn't pay in. So it would be like it's 0 for nonprofits and it's 0 for government buildings. So it would just be a calculation of how much other private stuff is around there that can support it, if that makes any sense.
Have changes coming to Borinquen, so this could be very interesting to be part of in Borinquen, so just put it out there.
We'll stay in touch.
Okay.
Thank you, and I have a raised hand, Tamika Matt.
Hey everyone, this is Monisha, my Monisha map, and first of all, today she had another meeting to attend, so she asked if myself and other members of her club could come on the call. And I know myself and Stacy and a couple other members, we did come on the call, and I'm very glad we did. It was some great information tonight. I normally buy Mike's hot honey, but I will now be buying Harissa hot money. But I did have a real quick question, and I think you might have answered a little bit, Carrie, because you said something about a bid expansion, because I was wondering, once 125th Street, gets settled, since you mentioned that we were the only community that did not have any business improvement district, with that knowledge or that process, would we be able, and I think it would be, I guess, maybe in the bid expansion, but I'm just checking, and if we say wanted to do 116th Street, or 3rd Avenue. And I'm also curious, what, if any, role do at-home businesses or work-from-home businesses have in this process?
Those are great questions. So yeah, so it could be part of a bid expansion. There has been an effort along East 125th Street separately to start at East 120. Did I say East 116th? I don't know if I said 126. East 116th Street bid. Union Settlement has worked on that for a while. So, and I don't know if Michelle wants to say anything about it. But it could be part of a bid expansion or a bid creation, either way. At-home businesses, the thing about bids is it's very much based on block and lot. So you see how delineated it is on this map. It's because each of those is the tax lot. Because when in Department of Finance brain, there has to be a tax bill attached to a building, and or the lot, and that's how they're calculating the assessment. So in terms of an at-home business, if it's a business in a building that's in the bid, then it could become part of the bid, but it has to be like in that exact green square for it to be part of it. I think does that kind of make sense? I don't know if I answered it right.
No, it makes sense. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have one question, Carrie. This excludes then let's say online businesses, right? Or people who have not a storefront in that area.
They can still be marketed. Our goal would be to promote the area. So, and East Harlem, right? Like the biggest part of the bid is honestly the street services. So like the sanitation. If we can plant any flowers that live on East 120th Street, come on, guys, got to help us on that one. But if we can keep it clean, if we can put some public art, if we can make it a little safer, it's those on the ground things that are really, really, really the key win with bids. And then bids also do marketing. So, we can still market East Harlem, we can still promote and all that. And Uptown Grand Central will still be around too, most likely. There's a lot of things that have to happen, but a bid would be its own nonprofit. So it would be its own structure that would have some kind of relationship to Uptown Grand Central. And so, whether or not the bid is bringing in the funding and Uptown Grand Central is providing the services, all of that still has to be worked out as we go along. But promotion will definitely be a big part of it. And I think if the streets are a little cleaner, promotion is a little easier sell.
Okay, and so the next step for October, you said did you mention?
So we're going to start outreach. So you guys are actually getting the preview. You're the earliest. So tell me if I need to tweak anything in how I say it to make it clear. And so later on this week, we're going to be briefing the elected officials. So Deputy Speaker Diana Ayala is the most important to the process because because when city council votes, most likely the council members will follow the local council person's lead. So if the deputy speaker says vote for this, most likely people are like, oh, okay, cool, we will. So Diana is very important to this process. So we're briefing her as well as some of the other elected officials. Those who are not at city level are not as important to the mechanics of how this happens, but they still, need to know what's going on. And then we'll launch a more public process. We've kind of been, as I mentioned, we already have 53% support, and that's just through general socializing, sharing information. But you'll see, I think, an article or two like in the newspaper, more public stuff. And then on this webpage that you're looking at, there will be a statement of support. It'll be like an Adobe thing that you can easily sign. So if you have a property in one of the green lots, you can sign and say, yes, I support the bid. And then that'll keep adding. We'll get 63%, hopefully 54, 55, 56, and we'll keep going up and up and up until we reach a certain threshold that SBS is comfortable with. Also in the fall, so we'll launch the public stuff. The ballot will go up on the website, and we're also we'll appear back before Community Board 11 in a more formal presenty sort of way. And then there's also going to be 2 public meetings that will be, we can get into details. The main target for that is going to be any property owner in the area, in the green area. Anybody's welcome to attend as well. So we'll do a lot of information, and at those sessions, the paper statements of support will be available as well. And we'll also go door to door. So we'll also go door to door to along East 125th Street and all the properties to make sure everybody's informed. The people in the district have already received mailed notices. They've already received, most everybody has been contacted at least 3 times in person. So they have been getting notices and information, but we just want to make sure everybody is 100% clear about what's happening and that they feel comfortable and positive. Thus far, the support has been positive because I think, as Angel mentioned, and many of you have mentioned, like East 125th Street, just people are ready for it to be clean and safe, and anything that can help make it possible is really, really a positive thing.
If you need help with outreach, let me know.
Oh my God, that's a huge win. Emery is like the queen of outreach. Be scared, Emery. I'm gonna come for you.
I know you will.
She is the queen.
Thank you, Carrie. If I don't see any hands raised. If there aren't any other questions from our committee members, thank you so much, Carrie. I know you'll keep us updated next month, or whenever you have some good news for us. Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you for the invitation. Thanks for listening to all that.
Okay, the next presentation we have is on outdoor dining rules and regulations. So Mr. Eli will be attending in October or November, because we have pretty much the moment, or I say time frame, that they're collecting data still, still flushing out some things. It is still in the process, and it ends, I believe, at the end of fall. So at the end of fall, they'll have like things that are more concrete and not so much unchanged. And so we have a little presentation. Okay, so outdoor dining rules and regulation rulemaking process will finalize late fall 2023. NYC Department of Transportation will launch the online application portal, and restaurants can begin applying for the permanent program. Restaurants at ground floor level that is visible from the street and directly accessible to the public and have a food establishment from the Department of Mental Health can apply. Sidewalks will be allowed all year round, and roadway setups will be permitted to operate from April 1st to November 29th. Separate applications for both. Restaurants currently participating in Open Street program will be notified with instructions for their continued participation. Angel, can we read that last one or no?
It's a link.
It's a link.
I'll show you. Sorry, I don't know why it's rendering now. I apologize.
No worries. Okay, so, that's pretty much the most recent information. Like I said, Eli will come either next month or in November to just give us a presentation so that as committee members were informed, we know, about the program, and if we ever have to vote on something, or if a business owner is concerned, has questions, get better informed. Eugene?
I just, food establishments need a permit from the New York City Department of Mental Health.
Mm.
Mental health? Why?
It's the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. That's the health department's full name.
Oh, the health department.
Health department.
That's different. I've been avoiding them other people.
Any questions? Okay. So we'll move on to, let's talk budget and needs. Our Vice Chair Anne Marie has prepared something to say on our most recent update on the district needs and budget.
So during the summer, Community Board 11 put out a survey for the community to complete to see what are the needs in the community that we can help provide for them. So just quickly, I'm gonna read the overview. The public input survey for fiscal year 2025 district needs collected responses for 2 months, for the summer month. 199 total respondents. How did we did that? By outreach. There were weekly newsletter and social media posts about it, partnerships with elected representatives and community-based organizations. Boninkin was one who just went out and put out surveys during our open streets, and tabling during some events for public input. So that's how we did the outreach, and the goals were to review the public input regarding community district needs, and us as a committee recommend addition, revision, removal of concept of statement of district needs. So the top 10 most pressing needs for us, I'm just gonna talk about economic development and recovery. We were number 6. We had 29 votes. Okay, that was the public felt that economic development and recovery is one of the most 10 important ones. And out of that, they felt that the top 5 most important issues was small businesses, services, and support. That all the small businesses needed support and needed services. And so now we have to tell me all of this, but now we have to figure out.
So we pretty much have to discuss, look at, I'm sure you guys took a look at what Angel sent out from the public input. Have a discussion if we have, any comments, questions about what the results were, because we now enter, we're in budget season, so we have, as a committee, we have to look at our budget needs, revise, take out, put back in, maybe even add something new that you guys may have seen or think that we need, or that businesses need, considering the information that was just brought to us and what we already know. So we'll open up.
So the community felt like we need to help with the recovery, with the economic recovery.
Well, as you know. Perhaps for the new members of the board. If you want to support the small businesses in the community, I think theaters are the way to go. Because for every dollar a theater goer spends in the theater, they spend $12 in the local economy. We have 1,200 seats available in the community. 50% of capacity. We could pump $60 million into the local economy. Now, we always focus on kids in the neighborhood, basketball, sports. I have no problem with that. I think it's a good outlet for them. But there are also, I'd like to bring to your attention that the hip hop movement started without any theaters at all. And them guys make billions of dollars. If they had one theater where they could have started their shows at, I am absolutely sure they would be putting money back into it. For the same token, like the Museo del Barrio, the theater there, Chorus Line began at the Museo del Barrio theater. That has produced enough money for them to buy Pratt Institute and create the public theater downtown. They still get money from, Chorus Line, and that began right in this neighborhood here. So I strongly believe that within 5 years, we can come up with a piece of theater at the Museo del Barrio that could pump money from Broadway back into the community. And that's the thing I think for local businesses. I agree with it completely. We should be starting to work on the theater district.
Bringing in that revenue helps neighboring businesses that are already.
And it's all from outside. We have a lot of people in the community that go there, but the Museo del Barrio, you get attractions. Shit, the last time, excuse my French, the last time I did a show there, I had people coming from Texas. They heard about it on the internet. They called me up, said, yo, Gino, we can't make the show on Friday. You think you can do something for us? I said, well, I don't give refunds. He said, no. Can we go Saturday? They came in for somebody died, so they had to go to the funeral on Friday. It's Saturday to the show. It was hysterical. But people are hungry for the kind of stories that I depend on the Latino community. But East Hartford is one of the most diverse communities in the city.
That's not the only theater here.
Oh, of course.
Triangle Towers has a theater.
Yeah, and it needs improvements. Lights, sound, seats, outdoor signage. So does the Museo del Barrio doesn't need anything, actually. Julia de Burgos, seats, sound, outdoor signage also. And then we have a wonderful little theater. I don't think anybody's been to it. The Poets Den on 108th Street. They're closed because they're not handicap accessible.
So, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it just dawned on me, so the district needs a budget, right? Is there a way that we can, because you're saying that it needs improvements. So is there a way that we can ask on our needs and budget? For the need to help and fix these theaters, like you see
infrastructure improvements in local theaters, like Taco La Guerra Theater, that's one of Chinatowns. The PS 109 has a theater. They could use seats in there also. There's 4 or 5 or 6 spaces in the community that we could do a survey of, and I think Union Settlement is working on something like that. How much they would need to improve and make it top of the line theaters. This far away from being the finest theaters in the city. The Museo del Barrio, have you ever been there? Have you been? The most beautiful theater I've ever been into in my life. People would spend money just to see the artwork in that theater. And then you put something like East Side Story in there. You blow the joint up. And another thing I'm concerned about is the Spanish Heritage Month. But all the Latinos in the world come to New York City. We have nothing in the Museo. We have nothing in La Julia. We have nothing in Triangle Tower. The community is missing an opportunity to make a whole bunch of money from people from outside the community and inside.
Yeah, definitely an item that we can add into our district needs, and we'll continue because we have a Zoom with Michelle and Eugene.
Okay.
Anyone else on the committee that wants to join, just to not take up so much meeting time, but to understand more what's happening with that idea. Anything else?
Anyone has input on how can we help the school businesses recover, develop services, support?
Angel, just remind us in October, in October as a committee, we have to, I think, and was this one? In October, we have to, from now until October, we have to, what on the street?
So the next steps. Is that your question?
Yep.
Right. So I have a slide up from the presentation we'll be making tomorrow to the district needs committee.
Angel, do you know what's the employment level in East Harlem?
Off the top of my head. Give me 1 second, we're having issues with this one. It's in there's data on that in the state.
Yeah, so we have, I have it here.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm sorry.
Hello.
As a committee
I
in
tell you this wrong.
October. So we're in September, we had our budget liaison report with the survey. We are now providing feedback to Ann on what we discussed and saw that the community needed.
And,
Anne Marie.
oh, and Marie, okay.
And, and in October, we have to review the budget request and make recommendations for additions and removals. All guidance has to come from the committee. So if you guys can, you know, this week, the earlier the better. We can also have a little email thread. And any idea, if you think it's fine the way it is, great. If you have an addition, or maybe this kind of looks off, but this doesn't make much sense, or we should be more specific on this ask. That would be greatly appreciated, because it'll make Ann's job much easier when it comes to putting everything together and then presenting it to Angel. So that's what we need to do from now until October. Staff liaison, which is Angel, and budget liaison, which is Anne Marie, serve as a point of reference. I include this in here too. So we'll start an email chain so that we can kind of go back and forth, and then see what stays in, what goes out. Okay.
I do have a quick thing. So when I look at the survey data, it says, 13, but like the way the question is worded is it's or the way the need is worded is it says. Just had it, small business services support including bids, and it got 13 votes as opposed to say 38 votes for cultural programming, to speak to sort of Eugene's point. I think that especially given the sort of natural pacing of change and investment in the neighborhood, I would not be opposed to just 100% getting behind the bid that Carrie and others are putting forward. So Carrie, actually, it might be useful if there's anything that we can, like anything that's sort of supplementary or corollary to the work that you're doing that we could put in the district needs. I think that would be maybe just like the best use of the resource ask that we have. So for example, I know libraries is always in there, right? So if there's some sort of library ask that is in that corridor that would really help you, that would actually, I think, really help inform our efforts to kind of serve this community need that's coming through in this, and just also what we know just from being residents here as well.
Can I say something? Or
Yeah, please,
okay,
please. No, yeah, I'm
that's
actually
amazing.
asking, sorry. Question mark, yeah.
That's a great idea. That's wonderful. By city law, the city cannot reduce services in a bid district. So like, they can't be like, oh, we're gonna give them less trash pickup just because they are like, they have an effort to fund cleaning things. So the city can't drop services. But also, that none of the service, nothing in a bid is paid for by the city. All of it is the property owners paying for it themselves. So, there will continue to be needs that we have. And, just for example, like this is never going to be our budget, but like the Downtown Alliance, Times Square Alliance, they have budgets of like 12 million, 20 million. We're looking at like 750,000, which is great. I am not upset about it. But there will continue to be needs. There was an op-ed in the paper, several papers about a month ago about how, like small bids are still doing a lot of work and making it happen. So thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, and if you have any input about things that we can recommend that would help your efforts and help augment those city services, I understand they can't take them away, but are there other things that we can, sort of pillars that we can build in that will help make this bid more of a success and thereby sort of address this need in this way?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the district needs has a lot of good stuff. A lot of the questions about the M35 bus and like things underneath the viaduct. public spaces and things like that. But I will look over it again and see if there's things I can think about it through that lens. That's really helpful.
I just want to say something, because I'm from the community, born and raised here, still live here, work here, do everything here. There's a lot that we have here, right? Theaters and great restaurants and great businesses, and then Carrie does a lot of work, amazing work. But we don't talk to each other, we don't communicate, we don't help each other, we don't support each other. Like you said, everybody's in pockets. So we need to put this together and make it shine and better than other communities, because it could happen, and there's a lot of resources here. There's a lot in this community, but nobody knows about it. At least the residents.
No,
don't
you're
know.
right, you're right. I'm not arguing that at all.
So it sort of goes back to how we not only coordinate, but how we market it, and it can't be just one way, right? Because people learn in different ways. So if we're gonna say, yes, Union Settlement does a directory, then we might need to look at other CDOs that we could share that responsibility with, that they can connect in different ways. We can be the central of it. That's wonderful. But if people are not tuned into one channel, they can tune into multiple channels and get the same information. Right, essential kind of information, as opposed to, we know that you do healthcare, that's all we know about you. We know that you do restaurants, that's all we know about you. Well, I want to be able to say, well, the restaurant is by this playhouse and this medical center and this sort of that kind of.
Yeah, Michelle came out with a map of that kind of
She
stuff.
did. So there's a lot going on, but nobody's working together.
Michelle's doing a hell of a
Well,
job.
she is.
You
She's
are
another
too.
one too,
You
Michelle.
are too.
Yeah, it's wonderful, right? And I've worked with Michelle and other things. Again, I say not everybody has internet savvy.
Yeah.
Right, so when you look at that map, if you don't use the internet, it doesn't tell you anything. We don't have a central location. I think they have like those new telephone poles I've seen. They're not where people dial in. I can't. Yeah, let's put some of that stuff out there. It's in our community. Right, so let's start using some of those things, the billboards,
Do we have a website, like a East Harlem, Estamos Here, or like something that we could?
East Harlem Preservation has one, that's Marina.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about anybody
the
else.
by local Harlem.
You mean for the board?
No, just like a marketing campaign,
We
of
gotta
like
create it.
like Estamos Here or some Spanglish or some type of like. Okay.
Yeah. Like I've seen the Parks and Recreation put up signs about movie nights, right?
Yeah.
We have the mall, they did a movie night, they put up billboards, and let's start putting that out there so people know there is an outdoor activity, or we have a silent disco. Yeah, I saw it on Instagram, but my grandmother doesn't use Instagram. Right? And I'm not going to her house to help her use Instagram because that becomes a whole headache, but that's a whole different story, right? There are people who still aren't able to access information because we only are tunnel vision on how we deliver it. That's just my take on it.
You're right.
Right, we have daycare centers. Let's put some of this stuff up at the daycare centers, right? That's just the thought. Supermarkets, they're in our community. They're surely getting our money. And we've had several changes in the supermarket game. I've lived here since I was 5, I'm over 50. So let's start having them, if they want our money, this is part of it. I already hit them up. Yeah.
Yeah, whenever I'm marketing one of my plays, like old folks homes, I not only do I give them propaganda, I also give them free tickets to come and show. Most supermarkets who have them at the door, most businesses in the neighborhood take your flyers and they have you a spot. I think you do that. Yeah. I know Cogotazo has.
Yeah, we have Torrance Park
Yeah.
and Cook right up the street. Right, and we also have a couple of high-end senior housing.
Oh, yeah.
They would love to come to events. Nobody wants to be cooped up in the house if they can get there. It's right across from Central. hard,
I'm
so.
gonna recognize Michelle Cruz. She has her hand up, and Carrie King will go right after. Hi, Michelle.
I think Jerry had her hand up before me.
Well, mostly it was just to say about Michelle, about the map, but I also wanted just to say to Anne-Marie's point, and I think Eugene also mentioned, is like, I think because so many of the nonprofits in East Harlem are small and are doing so much work, like collaboration sounds like such a luxury just to have enough time in the day to like meet and plan and all this stuff. Cause generally like, I'm just trying to keep the lights on, like, you know, so that's just kind of a thing. It's like, I think it's not out of anybody not wanting to do it. It's just everybody just trying to survive, really, you know, and I know everybody that echoes with everybody. And then, yeah, they're to the point about the website, for many years that Marina has been an amazing soldier in keeping East Harlem preservation active. And then there was the one from Hope Community, Michelle
That's
El
Marina.
Barrio. No, there was another one from Hope Community website. Michelle, unmute yourself. What was that one called? With Jeremy Vega.
This one. It's this foldable map. It was called El Barrio Today Arts Cluster. And it's so one side is the map. I don't know if you guys can see it. And then the other side is the locations and some pictures of the places.
But that's the thing, I've never seen that before.
What's a paper?
And I'm from here.
I mean,
There's another one called Visit El Barrio that Hope Community did for a few years. So, yeah. But Michelle, go. I'm sorry. I'm just like, your turn.
No worries. So I just wanted, if it's okay, Giselle, to respond to a couple of things. I can't really see, so I'm not sure the young lady who spoke about having it on different platforms. This is one of the things that we're doing with the map we currently have for those who are not online, but want to go visit the spaces. And we also put the maps on Link NYC, but you can't engage with them on Link NYC. But here you can, it'll show you where to go, a little bit of information on it, and also on the website, eastharlemalliance.org. You can click on the links and it'll give you a little bit of information about our landmarks, our cultural institutions, the small businesses. And we focus, like there's a few of us on the call now who focus on East Harlem for the holidays, and we get together and collaborate and cross promote. And we work with Carrie. Carrie does a Harlem night market. We rent trolleys to circulate the area. We work with the Holiday Tree Committee and getting the light up. And this year, we're mimicking some of the activities that Uptown Grand Central did on 124th in White Park. To speak to what Eugene mentioned about what we're doing, we're trying to raise funding for a feasibility study to create the cultural district that he's been talking about for so long. And to respond to Anne, we are trying to work together. You know, Carrie and I, anything we can do together, we do. We're working with Eugene, and now that you and Giselle are leading the charge on this this committee, we'll be sharing and collaborating even that much more. So we're trying. I think it just takes a while because we're all so small and doing so much. But I think that we're getting somewhere, and I think especially this holiday campaign really make some traction with bringing people into the neighborhood and getting people to stay local to shop and dine.
Crazy in the past. But now we are trying, working together.
I'm gonna recognize Sharon.
Hi, Michelle. I want to first thank you because the East Harlem Friday nights for the summer were wonderful, right? It was a wonderful time, and Michelle did that. So her and me and someone did that, and then the restaurant called. Wonderful, spectacular. My question would be, I work with seniors. How do I get that map? How do I disperse that handheld map to the seniors? Where can I direct them to get that?
bring some to you.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. We're printing them out within the next 2 weeks. I'd love to get these maps to you. We'll also have them at our senior centers. We have quite a few senior centers in East Harlem, so we'll have them there. But I'd love to drop some off to the Community Board 11, to yourself, and anybody else who's interested in
Daycare
sharing.
centers for the parents.
Yep.
Right.
After school program.
Right, they have the after school, they have the daycare, they have a lot of rich
Yeah.
cross population that can use that handheld map. And I'm sure that would increase business. I'm so sure of it.
Absolutely.
Have you ever been to
Thank you.
Martha's Vineyard?
Listen, let me say something. I'm the queen of outreach, right, Carrie? Bring them to me and I make sure and we take them out. I have an outreach team, that's why. 7 people. We'll go to the schools, senior centers, events, you name it, we're out there. So you guys use us.
Have you ever been to Martha's Vineyard?
No.
Every restaurant in Martha's Vineyard, when you set the plate up, they put a piece of paper. That piece of paper has a map of the island in every restaurant in the trip. And the thing that they do, which I was talking to Michelle about, is they have a map of the community in the middle. And then they have stars on where each place is. But then around the edge, they have what those stars are. So you can see this restaurant, they serve the fish or whatever, and you can see it right on the map.
Nice.
I collect those things.
Honestly, if that was done, it would look like Michelle's map, the map
Yes,
that she has
exactly.
on the internet, right? It would look just like what he described. It's just sitting right in front of you. You can take it with you.
But the genius is they make all the restaurants put them on your plate when you have dinner. So you take the thing out from under the plate.
Okay.
They don't sell
That's
fried
great,
chicken.
yes, so for the interest of time, we're almost hitting 2 hours, so let's get through the rest of the meeting. And do you have anything else to?
No, just that by October, and then, if you guys have any ideas to help out, so that would be great. I don't know.
Oh, from now until the next meeting. Okay. So we have we wanted the NYC sanitation to kind of come in, give a presentation, but it's just honestly for information. The residents, 6 p.m., they have to take out their trash, the resident goes 6 p.m. in a container, 55 gallons with a lid. 8 p.m. if placing the bags directly on the curb. Just as we walk around, sometimes we wonder, like, I know people have asked me, are you supposed to take your trash out that early? Or, it's confusing because these are still new rules. But for businesses, if you see that they don't have containers out and it's before, and you want to help them, hey, listen, you have your container out too early, or you have your bags out too early, it helps them because it saves them from a fine. The businesses, they have to use a container with a lid and they have to place it 1 hour before closing out on the curb. If they're not in a container, then and they're in the bags, they can place it on the curb after 8 p.m. And if you observe any businesses not complying, let them know so that we can help them out.
I put a bag out at 6 o'clock and I had to knock on the door from the sanitation.
Yeah,
You're not supposed to get out at 8.
yes.
It fell out there.
They're standing outside and they're definitely giving fines already, so.
Definitely telling you that.
And then Eugene, if it's okay, since we're doing some work with the barrio and we still gotta connect with Michelle, and for as old business, we'll first connect outside of today's meeting when it comes to the naming and barrio, so we can have just a more robust. I did want to say though, Xavier put out a Google Drive.
Yes.
And we have to all comment and put our questions. You can.
Can you just elaborate on what we're
Yes.
trying to do? Okay. I have proposed, or I have asked for a resolution from the community board to designate East Harlem as a cultural district. We have a whole resolution on it, and Xavier has copies of it. He has it online. I will accept any friendly amendment to it. The basic idea is to designate from 96th Street to 125th Street, that area is a cultural district, because I know that the state is about to designate cultural districts across the state. And that would mean that they would open spigots of money for, instead of you having to apply to the state cultural organizations, which just has a little bit of money, they have designated cultural proposals as economic development, which is a huge pot of money that we can then access. And as you know, we have arts companies, small artists. I think if we open it and call it a cultural district, all those people will be able to have a business. And I'll make one last point. The poorest folks in East Harlem are artists. And artists create jobs. You go to any art center, they always have a curator, they have somebody to clean the place, they always create jobs whenever they do an art thing. So I think we gotta support this. Oh, and it should be coming up for the community board, the full board meeting. So I suggest you, if you have any comments on the cultural district proposal, please look at it.
So Xavier wants us, each person to comment, but, add a line, read it, see what we can, you gotta polish it, make it look, presentable, because the state doesn't reconvene until January anyway, so we have some time, but we can't wait until November because then we have to kind of repolish it and take it back and make it look, really nice. So it's on your Google Drive, look at it, add what you can. He did mention looking at some history and adding in the history of the culture and arts in El Barrio to make it just so much more, like connect.
My perspective as a writer, a playwright, is keep it short and sweet. So I would be looking for cuts. What's too long, because the person's attention span doesn't last time. That's why I changed the name of my company from the East Harlem Theater Development Fund to Elbow. Because people can remember Elbow.
Okay. Thank you, Eugene. Okay. Any old business?
I will go with Xavier at the time.
Oh, Xavier, our chair.
Ah.
Xavier Santiago has his hand up.
Hey everyone, I'm sorry, I just got off another meeting with the high school president's council. So to the point, please dive into the sandbox, our Google Drive. We've lamented on this and talked about it. I know Angel has, is like, everyone get in there. This is where we do the work. I want to applaud what April did with Human Services, with getting in there and setting it up when they were working the moratorium and just activating a lot of people. And then Brandon and others all on that committee did a fantastic job and just participating in the process. So that's why I put it into that into your folder in the G Drive, so it was actually accessible, so the work could be done. Thank you, Eugene, for pushing this. I think that we have some momentum, and I just want to make sure it's as fleshed out as possible. And I know Angel, I think, left a comment as well, so that get in there so that it can be reviewed and then brought before the full body as a very solid document. And yes, I hear the comment about short, sweet, and simple. But again, it's like poetry. You have to make it condensed but consumable. So I just wanted to remind everyone, jump in, and I'm accessible to everyone. Always feel free. You can give a call. Okay. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And moving on, if there aren't any other hands raised. I don't see any board members. If you have any old business to state, please raise your hand. Board members, if you have any new business to state.
Just like I said earlier, the contract for the Julia de Burgos is up from the Hispanic Federation. We need to see what in that contract. What does the city want to do with that facility? Are they gonna change it over to the cultural affairs, or they're gonna keep it with the economic development committee, which hasn't done anything in 20 years? We have to really look at that, because that is the key to creating a theater district in the neighborhood.
When's that up to you, Gene?
30th.
The 30th of this month?
Yep, well, that's what my Bochincha network is telling me. If you don't know what Bochincha is, it's rumor mill. And I have an extensive network.
Okay, Tamika.
Yes, so thank you so much, Chair, for recognizing me. I would like to put in, making sure that we take center for all the home-based businesses that we have in our community and to see what type of resources they want to need. We have a lot of small not-for-profits that we have inside their homes and just general services. I feel that sometimes that they get overlooked, because we're so, stick on brick and mortar that we forget and those who's actually at home is actually provided that generational wealth as well.
Thank you for that. You're welcome. And it's thinking. Okay. Roll call, if there isn't anything further. We can do the roll call.
Sure, members, when I call your name, please answer present, and don't just run out, I have a question for you after you get offline. April Audrey,
Present.
promise to be brief.
Don't stand by the
Brandon.
door.
Here.
Sharon,
Here.
Giselle,
Here.
Alicia, Eugene,
Present.
Jenny,
Here.
Anne Marie,
Here.
and Jason Wu.
Here.
We have one. All right.
So what is it you wanna say there?